Hey everybody, I'm here and I want to share with you a book called How Music Works by David Byrne. And if you want to donate to the work we do with Strings Attached, playing for elderly, playing music at Strings and Woods for the community all around in Austin, Texas, there are links below. And I'm enjoying this beautiful sunrise from Wimberley, Texas, where I visited the Blue Hole today. Really had a good time here. This book talks about how music, for most of he makes an argument or basically sets the scene that throughout the ages, music has been created in response to the environments that it's created. It isn't just like some guy had a dream and forced music into being because he was passionate and felt all like it had to happen. How's it going, Harold? Will Taylor here. So he talks about that very much so the environment, the venue, the context played a big part in how music came into being. And then he talks about that for a while, and then he goes into a section and talking about birds and how nature responded to the environment. And when I'm sitting here listening, I can hear birds, I can hear insects, and there's this great natural symphony going on around us. I want to read you a little bit about what he says about birds. Birds do it. The adaptive aspect of creativity isn't limited to musicians and composers or artists in any other media. It extends into the natural world as well. David Attenborough and others have claimed that bird calls have evolved to fit the environment. In dense jungle foliage, a constant, repetitive, and brief signal with a narrow frequency works best. The repetition is like an error-correcting device. If the intended recipient didn't get the first transmission, an identical one will follow. Birds that live on the forest floor evolve lower-pitched calls so they don't bounce and become distorted by the ground as higher-pitched sounds might. Water bird calls have, unsurprisingly, they cut through the ambient sounds of water, and birds that live in plains and grasslands like the Severo sparrow have buzzing calls that can traverse long distances. So, and it also goes in here to talk about how nature has evolved so that the insects, everybody has their own place in nature, except humans, of course, which just make ridiculous amounts of noise and try to think at this current time we're above nature, like this motorcycle coming. And it's all about being separate from nature, right? But animals have evolved to give every one of themselves a place in nature. So we have insects creating sounds in the most... Just wait till that motorcycle gets out of the way. We have insects... Oh, my leg just went to sleep. We have insects that occupy the really high frequency range, and then birds are below that, and then mammals are even below that, so that they don't bump into each other, and everybody has their own space in the sonic spectrum. So when you sit out and listen, think about that. Think about how each animal has its own place, and nobody is talking over each other. So we have the cicadas going, we have birds, bird song, we have mammals. So anyway, just started this new book at my trip here in Wimberley, How Music Works, by a Talking Heads musician, David Byrne. It's great. I hope you're having a great day. This has been a Coffee with Will. I have seen David's shows online, but I've never seen him live. Harold, I'm sure you have, and maybe you'd love to tell me more about it. What's David Byrne like live? Amazing performer. And so here's the next chapter I'm about to read is My Life in Performance. This book came out in 2012. Love reading works or books by performers who have been out there writing and performing for real people for years and years and years. This is the wisdom that I want to take in to my life. Oh, my leg is so asleep. It's not crazy. All right, you guys have a great night. Maybe I'll see you live tomorrow again for another Coffee with Will. Check out David Byrne's book, How Music Works. It's a great perspective from an amazing musician. How many of you seen his thing called the Knee Plays? So I take that back. I have seen David Byrne live when he did the Knee Plays. I wish there was a way I could do it. I'm going to put a link in here. I saw this when I was a kid. I'm going to look that up. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to try to use the screen share function to see if I can do that. David Byrne, KN knee plays right there. Featured a full brass group. David Byrne and Les Miserables. That's not what we want with the knee plays. Here we go. Yeah, this is good. Let me share this with you. This is what I saw as a kid in the 80s. So if I want to share the screen, let's do the window. Where do I do that? I'll just do the screen. Okay, let's go over here. Here's the knee plays by David Byrne. Gorgeous brass writing. David Byrne of the Talking Heads created this work. Let's see if that screen share is working. Yeah. Real traditional. How you doing, Jan? I'm glad you came back. This is from the David Byrne knee plays. Let's put it a little forward here. Beautiful melodies. So it's kind of a spoken word piece as far as I remember, with some drums. This is during the 80s. Wow. I want you to see where he comes in talking. Here we go. David Byrne, the guy that wrote this book, How Music Works, right here. This is another work of his. Check it out.
They were driving south on the highway. Their business was in another town.
Can you hear it?
The town they were driving from. Business took place during office hours in both towns. This drive was considered business. The feeling of passing other cars was also considered business. The feeling of business being done.
So,
The feeling of drifting slowly through a field of moving vehicles.
That's something you can watch. It's all on YouTube. Check it out. This has been another Coffee with Will. Thank you guys for coming back on to check out what I have to say today. And I love that if you're a patron of what we do, thank you for supporting the work we do for the elderly, for music and nature, and for the music that we bring into life through, like David Byrne says in the book, context. Sometimes it comes out of nowhere, but most of the time it doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes out of a need to fit something that we want it to fit, an existing structure. It doesn't just always come out of a complete vacuum. Matter of fact, most of the time it doesn't. There's people you work with, musicians you work with, you hear another piece of music, you're inspired by it, and you think, I want to write something like that in that form. And so I'm going to challenge myself to write something like that in my own way, but borrowing that form. Check it out. How Music Works, David Byrne. I'm glad you love this presentation. Jan, I'm planning to do more of these. Maybe I could do one every day. And scare up some more patrons. Patreon.com/Will Taylor. I'm going to go enjoy the sunset if I didn't already miss it. You guys have a great evening or day, whatever it may be. Check out patreon.com/Will Taylor. New music coming up that I've been writing for the past few weeks, and patrons are going to get to hear it first, and patrons will only get access to the demos. That's right.